Now, I know a lot of people know this painting, and they know renditions of this painting from multiple artists. This is Judith slaying Holofernes. This particular painting is by Artemisia Gentileschi. Before doing a video on that painting, I would like to give you her history. Artemisia was an Italian Baroque painter. She is considered one of the most accomplished 17th century artists, and she was producing professional level work at the age of 15. She was the eldest child of an esteemed Baroque painter named Orazio Gentileschi. Her mother, Prudencia, unfortunately passed away when she was only 12 years old. So she grew up in a male-dominated household with her father and 3 brothers. Her father trained Artemisia in his Roman workshop because women were forbidden from studying at actual art academies. Her father mentored her on realistic theatrical style, and she quickly surpassed her 3 brothers and showed extraordinary promise. He trained her heavily in chiaroscuro, which works with levels of light and dark contrast, and also tenebrism, which is similar to chiaroscuro, but as you can see, tenebrism has a much more extreme contrast. A contrast between intense light and very deep shadows. But anyway, something traumatic happened to her when she was only 17 years old, which significantly influenced her late depictions, which were of women and female vengeance. Her father had hired landscape painter Agostino Tassi, specifically to teach Artemisia perspective in painting. But in May of 1611, Tassi attacked and raped Artemisia. Yes, I have to say the word raped, otherwise it will get taken down. According to the Smithsonian Magazine, she fought back heavily. She testified in her trial in 1612, and you'll see why I said her trial. She scratched his face, pulled his hair, and she managed to grab a nearby knife and tried to attack him with it, for her own self-defense, but was ultimately unsuccessful. She also testified that she cried out for her chaperone and neighbor Tuzia, but she ignored her cries and did not intervene, which is not very girl's girl behavior, as her father asked Tuzia directly to be her chaperone, and when he was absent, also her guardian, to protect her virtue and reputation. She even testified against Artemisia in her trial and said that it was consensual and not forced. According to the testimony, Tuzia was actually with Artemisia when she was painting, and Tassi ordered her to leave, which she did, and then ignored her cries for help. And her believing Tuzia was a friend, she was deeply betrayed by this. Now, after the attack, Tassi offered to marry Artemisia. And in this time, as her having a reparatory marriage, this was the legal standard and only socially acceptable way for a rape victim to regain their social status and virtue in the eyes of society. Of course, after being defiled against their will. This led to her having to have a year-long relationship with her attacker. Then he refused to hold up his end of the bargain, so her father filed a case with the courts. That's why it took a year for this to happen. This trial was legally complex and very traumatizing for her. Now, Artemisia gave a detailed testimony of what happened during the attack, but under Roman legal customs at the time, it was Artemisia and not her attacker who had to undergo torture in the courtroom to prove she was telling the truth. The method she went through was called Sibyl. Now, I couldn't find a drawing of this contraption, but I'm going to explain it to you. There was a device that sometimes included metal rings through which cords were threaded, and then they would twist the rings, crushing the fingers. This was designed so that they could prove even under excruciating pain her testimony would not change. And even through the pain, she taunted Tassi, saying, quote, "This is the ring you gave me, and these are your promises," end quote, to signify the wedding ring that he promised her after destroying her reputation by force. And she reportedly declared to the court while her fingers were being crushed, "It's true, it's true, it's true." This little Uggo was found guilty of rape in 1612, and despite his conviction and sentence of 5 years of hard labor, plus banishment from Rome, his punishment was never enforced. And why? He was a favored painter of Pope Paul V, which likely allowed him to avoid serving his sentence. At this time, the lawsuit had to be brought up in court by her father, not Artemisia herself. as the law viewed the crime as a loss of bartering value and family honor. You often see her focus on strong, violent female figures as a form of catharsis related to this trauma. Later in 1612, she married Pier Antonio Stiaresi. He was a modest Florentine painter. The marriage was arranged by her father shortly after Tassi's trial to restore her reputation and allow her to move from Rome to Florence, where she built a successful career and they had 5 children together.